Hello everyone and welcome to another video. The year is 2017. Having already signalled his intention to leave a whole year earlier, as well as his successor Chris Chibnall having already been announced, Steven Moffat's era as showrunner is coming to an end. But since then, fans have been wondering whether or not Peter Capaldi would leave with Steven Moffat. Eventually, in an interview on BBC Radio 2, Capaldi announced that he would indeed be leaving with Steven Moffat in that year's Christmas special. And that's exactly what he did. But what if all that changed? What if in an alternate timeline all of this didn't happen at that particular point? What if Peter Capaldi had stayed for Series 11? Now this video is going to be wildly different from the previous three. There is pretty much nothing that's been said officially about what could have happened, at least at the time of making this video. We know that Peter Capaldi was asked to stay by Chris Chibnall and that it did take him a while to decide whether or not he was going to in our timeline. But there's very little concrete plans that can be figured out, even by looking at the way Series 10 or 11 went. And given how things went in our timeline, Series 10 is going to have to play out pretty differently for the alternate timeline. So here's my best shot at all of this. So after much deliberation, Peter Capaldi decides to stay on for Series 11. But how does this affect Series 10? Well, until we get to the series finale, not that much actually. But then we get to The Doctor Falls, which for a start most likely wouldn't have been called that. Perhaps it would be called something like The Two Masters instead, which would mean that it would be another Series 10 episodes that shared its title with a Big Finish audio, just like Thin Ice and even the preceding episode of World Enough and Time 2. Or maybe the title of The Day of the Master instead, in a nice sort of homage to The Day of the Doctor. We probably wouldn't have had the 12th Doctor being close to death's door throughout the episode. He never would have been electrocuted by a Cyberman on the roof of the hospital. Bill would still have been converted into a Cyberman, of course though. Somehow the 12th Doctor would survive the events of Floor 507 intact, although Bill would still have died and then gone off with Heather. Twice Upon a Time wouldn't have happened, as the regeneration parallel between the 1st and 12th Doctors wouldn't have been there. But I suspect that Steven Moffat would still have ended his era with a Christmas special, given how much he didn't want the tradition of the Christmas specials to end in our timeline. But what would the 2017 Christmas special be instead? Honestly, I'm not really sure. Perhaps something which kind of brings the whole Moffat era full circle in a way, with the return of perhaps Amy and Rory. Although then again, maybe Steven Moffat could have just done a special solely about the 1914 Christmas truce, which we kind of got towards the end of Twice Upon a Time in our timeline. And then have it end with the TARDIS landing in modern day Sheffield, which of course would lead into the Series 11 opener, which would obviously not be called The Woman Who Fell to Earth in this alternate timeline. It doesn't really sound like the greatest way of ending Steven Moffat's time as showrunner, but let's just go with it for now. We'll call this alternate Christmas special something like A Christmas Miracle. So we then come to the alternate Series 11, starting with what I'm going to call The Man Who Fell to Earth, sharing its title with a 1976 David Bowie film, a fact which probably would have delighted Peter Capaldi. This would basically play out the same as The Woman Who Fell to Earth did in our timeline, just without the Doctor having just regenerated, of course. The next two episodes would also play out more or less the same, so the Ghost Monument and Rosa wouldn't really change that much. Arachnids in the UK would mostly be the same as well, apart from the 12th Doctor perhaps being more cautious about taking on Graham, Ryan and Yaz as full-time companions towards the end. The Saranga Conundrum, Demons of the Punjab and Kablam would all be mostly the same, but the 12th Doctor might make a massive speech all about bigotry in Demons of the Punjab, like he did in the Zygon inversion. The Witchfinders would play out quite differently though, as the 12th Doctor wouldn't have been treated like a witch and would probably have been listened to at least somewhat quicker than the 13th Doctor was. It Takes You Away would probably be somewhat the same, although maybe the Solitract would have taken the form of Bill instead of a frog. But then again, given how much Chibnall wanted Series 11 to stand apart from everything that came before, maybe this wouldn't have happened after all. The Battle of Ranskor Av Kolos would probably be the same, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on your point of view. And then we come to Resolution. Whilst I believe Resolution would also probably play out the same, it probably would have been Peter Capaldi's last episode. So how would the 12th Doctor end up regenerating? What would be the cause of his regeneration? One option could be that he has a second kind of one-on-one confrontation with the Recon Scout Dalek at the end, where the Dalek ends up shooting him. And then Graham, Ryan, Yaz, Lynn, Mitch and Aaron would come in and finish off defeating the Dalek. Or maybe he's the one that the Dalek mutant attaches itself to in the TARDIS rather than Ryan's dad, Aaron, and the others are able to get rid of the mutant but at the cost of it damaging the 12th Doctor. It's a bit of a brutal and perhaps understated way for a Doctor to go, but I'm going to go with it as I personally think it's the best out of the two. And then Peter Capaldi would still regenerate into Jodie Whittaker as he's surrounded by everyone. Maybe we see some flashbacks of Bill, Nardole and Clara in a similar way to Logopolis, but again with Series 11 intended to be a fresh start, who knows. If I'm being completely honest, I think it was actually better that Peter Capaldi left at the end of Series 10 with Twice Upon a Time. He got a much better exit with what we got in our timeline, and I honestly struggled to come up with a satisfying way to have the 12th Doctor regenerate in the alternate timeline. Even now, I'm still not sure about the exit I gave him. I think as much as it's really intriguing to imagine what if every Doctor had stayed for a bit longer, sometimes it's actually better to just leave these things be. Not every Doctor arguably needs more time, as it were. But anyway, there's my take on what if Peter Capaldi had stayed for Series 11. But what did you think of it, and would you do anything differently? Please let me know in the comments section below. Anyway, so thanks for watching, hope you liked it. Please don't forget to press that subscribe button below, as well as press the bell icon at the side of it, so that you'll stay notified of when all my new videos come out. And I shall see you all in another video. So, until next time, bye bye!